don't use public Wi-Fi. Public Wi-Fi is great because it's free, but you want to be very careful because unfortunately a lot of people are banking on you using this free Wi-Fi, hackers that is, and they have ways that they can get into your computer or put malware on your computer just by you accessing the public Wi-Fi. So either don't use it at all, or if you're going to use it, consider downloading or purchasing a VPN app.
Are you ready for a successful retirement? We're addressing the topics facing today's retirees. Welcome to Retire with Ryan. Now here's your host, Ryan Morrissey.
Welcome back. This is episode 119. This month is October and is Cybersecurity Month. It's been designated such by the president, I believe, since 2004. And I thought it would be a good time to talk about 7 steps that you can take to protect yourself from being hacked and becoming a victim of cybersecurity crime. About a year and a half ago, I had a cybersecurity expert on the podcast, Devin Krupp, and I'll put a link in the show notes if you want to go back and listen to those episodes as well, episodes 45 and 46. And she had written a book called Hack Proof Your Life. So I'd like to cover some of the lessons that she shared with us. And according to the FBI, the top 5 cybersecurity crimes are phishing, which is when someone's trying to get your password, website spoofing, which is where they're trying to imitate another website you think you're going to, ransomware, where they will get something on your computer that will lock your computer or your files and you have to pay to get them back. Malware, which is where they put something on your computer, a program that can control your computer or steal passwords, or another. Last being IoT hacking, which is Internet of Things. And that's hacking not through your computer or your phone, but through other things that might be connected to the internet, such as maybe your television or your refrigerator or some other smart device that you have in your phone. But before I get into those tips, just a reminder, if you haven't gone to retirewithryan.com and completed the 2022 listener survey, it will take you less than 2 minutes. Pull out your iPhone, get on your computer, go to retirewithryan.com. At the very top of the website is a link to that. I would greatly appreciate your feedback. And while you're there, if you don't have a plan for retirement and you live local to where I am in Connecticut, there's still classes that are starting the end of October that you can sign up to put your plan together for retirement. So these 7 steps that we're going to go over are things that you can easily do. Hopefully you're doing some of them already. If you're not, then I would strongly suggest following them to protect yourself from becoming a victim of identity theft or cybercrime. So step 1, use a strong password. This is pretty evident. According to Cyber News, the top 5 most common passwords in 2022 were 123456. For those that are a little more sophisticated, 1234567889. QWERTY, password, and 12345. So if you're using one of those or you're using a password that is very basic, please change your password. And this goes for any password you're using, anything that has your information. This goes for your phone as well. I'm amazed that some people still don't even have a password for their phone. Your phone is probably the most valuable thing that you own as far as it has personal information about you in there, passwords, other documents. And if that's stolen or that's hacked, that's going to be a big problem. So make sure you have a password on your phone that's probably at least 8 characters long so that it's relatively hard for someone to hack your phone if you do lose your phone. And you also, depending on the type of phone you have, make sure that your phone is trackable if you lose it so that you have a Find My Phone app on there so you can get your phone back. And through those apps, you also have the ability to even wipe out everything on your phone if you lose your phone and you can't get it back, so that if you have any personal information on there, it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. Step number 2 is use a password manager. A password manager is a service that helps you generate and store long, unique passwords for all of your online accounts. And this is important because, as we just discussed, using weak passwords or the same passwords on multiple accounts makes you more susceptible to identity theft and other crimes. And you can also use this password manager to store PINs, credit card numbers, CV codes, answers to security questions, and more. And this is an alternative to having your web browser generate and store your passwords, as maybe some of you are doing. That can work fine, but the problem is that up to a certain point, you may be on different computers, different devices, and those passwords may not be easily shared across those devices. And also, if you want to share a password with a family member, that's another way you can do that. And I'll put a link in the show notes to an article I found from Consumer Reports, and they ranked the different password managers that are out there, and they ranked them based on privacy, security, and ease of use. And the one that they ranked excellent as far as having an excellent rating in all of these three categories was 1Password. I unfortunately don't have any experience with that. They also recommended a few other password managers, Bitwarden, Dashlane, and Keeper. So check that out if you're interested in using a password manager. And they have both free and paid options. I believe the paid option gives you more password options or more devices. So consider using that. Next is, hopefully you're doing this, step 3 would be to use two-factor authentication. Two-factor authentication is a specific type of multi-factor authentication, MFA, that strengthens access by requiring two methods of authentication to verify your identity. And these factors can include using your password and username, plus having a smartphone app or texting you or emailing you a password. And by doing this, it then requires you to have access to your computer or your phone and to then verify. So it lessens the chance of if someone steals your password, if your password's hacked somehow, but they don't have your phone and they go to log in with that password, well, you're going to then most likely get a text or an email to confirm that you're logging into this website or this app. And if the hacker doesn't have your phone or your computer, then they're not going to be able to do that. So that's why, as I said before, your phone is so valuable to you, to make sure that you don't lose it. Or if you do lose it, you can easily render it inaccessible to a hacker. So this is very important, especially with your bank accounts, investment accounts, your email account, to have this enabled. And it is a pain because every time you log in, you have to put in the code, you have to get the text or the email, but this is going to help protect you from probably the biggest way of being a victim of identity theft, of having your accounts get hacked. Number 4 is don't click on any email attachments from people you don't know, and maybe even from people you do know. You want to be cautious of opening all email, as scammers are constantly trying to get you to open malware. A very easy thing to do is, before clicking on any attachment on an email, you're usually okay opening the email. It's when you click on the attachment, look at the email address from the sender. I recently received an email from a friend, at least it said it was from a friend, and it said, check out these great pictures I took. And I then looked at the email address, and the email address was not from my friend. It said it was from my friend in my email, but when I looked at the email address, it was not. So hackers are trying to imitate other emails that you're getting, emails maybe from friends, family members. So make sure you look at the email address before you download any or even click on any attachment. I unfortunately made this mistake years ago. I got an email and it said it was from Microsoft, and I clicked on it. I clicked on the attachment, and I did it on my computer, which is even worse because I downloaded a malware that was called the Locky virus. Hopefully you never experienced this, but it automatically locked every file on my computer. And it was requiring me at the time to send like 3 Bitcoin through some method. I don't remember how. At the time, Bitcoin was like $600. I didn't do it. What I was able to do was you're able to, on your computer, to reset it back to a certain date where it was backed up. And I had backed it up like 3 or 4 days earlier. So I did lose some information, but I got back most of my files. But if I wasn't able to do that, I would have been in a world of hurt. And some institutions aren't able to do this. Like, you've probably read that certain municipalities have had all their files locked, and they've had to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to get files back. And they'll pay that money and hope that the criminal is an honorable criminal and is actually going to give them their files back. So that leads me to step number 5, and that is to back up all your data. You should be backing up all your data in one of 2 places. One, either don't store anything on your computer and save everything online on some type of cloud service, right? On Google Docs, or I use Box, or there's multiple cloud options. So if you save everything to the cloud, nothing's saved on your computer, it can still be hacked, but it's less likely. And that way, that is backed up as well. Make sure the cloud is backed up. And then this also goes for your iPhone or your smart device. Make sure that your photos are backed up, as well as anything you're keeping in the notes section of your phone. You can also use an external hard drive or USB drive to back up all your data. and do that every so often. Experts recommend every day if you're creating a lot of new content, a lot of new data. And that way, if you are hacked, if your files are encrypted and stolen, then you can get them back because you have it backed up. Tip number 6 is don't use public Wi-Fi. Public Wi-Fi is great because it's free, but you want to be very careful because unfortunately a lot of people are banking on you using this free Wi-Fi, hackers that is, and they have ways that they can get into your computer or put malware on your computer just by you accessing the public Wi-Fi. So either don't use it at all, or if you're going to use it, consider downloading or purchasing a VPN app. VPN stands for Virtual Private Network. And this is a program that you can put on your computer that encrypts everything that you're doing on the internet so that it makes it very difficult for someone to hack your computer. And this could be whether you're just working at home or you're working on a public network. And the VPN is great as well because it also makes you essentially invisible. So if you're worried about Big Brother, the government tracking what you're doing, as far as I understand, you could use a VPN and they really can't tell where you are. And they also can't tell what you're doing. So I use something called NordVPN. I downloaded it a number of years ago and purchased it. I can use it both on my phone and on my computer. And it's a way that I can make sure I'm protected. And also it gives you some anonymity if you're worried about people tracking what you're doing. And the last step, number 7, is to monitor your credit. If someone has stolen your identity, one of the first things they'll probably try to do is open credit up in your name so they have access to it. This could be a credit card. In extreme cases, it could be a loan. So if you monitor your credit, you'll then have a good chance of preventing that from happening. So there's 3 major credit bureaus, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. All of them allow you a free credit report once per year from the 3 agencies. So one thing you can do is that, let's say every 4 months, you log into one of these 3, you track which one you're doing, and every 4 months, you can get a free full credit report. You don't have to pay for it. You also could pay for it, but why not get it for free? You could also use a website or app called Credit Karma. That's another way that you could get access to your credit. You're not getting a full report, but you're getting some access to it. You could also consider freezing your credit. If you aren't going to be taking out any new credit cards, applying for any new loans, you can reach out to these credit unions or credit agencies, I should say, and you can freeze your credit so that it makes it almost impossible for somebody to take out credit in your name, but it's going to also make it difficult for you. So just realize you'll have to unfreeze your credit if you're going to do this and you then want to apply for a loan. Also, if you have minor children, probably a good idea to consider freezing their credit because a lot of identity fraud does occur with minor children, and it could be years until you figure out that's happened. Because if your child is 5 years old, when are they going to be taking out any credit in their name? Probably not for a while, at least until they get to college age. And if there was identity fraud, it might be a while before you know about that. So hopefully you don't become a victim of identity theft or cyber crimes. If you follow these steps, you lessen the likelihood tremendously. But if you are a victim, you find out you've been hacked, your identity has been stolen, there's some things that you should do. If you still can, change your passwords, right? You may not be able to because the hacker might have control of certain accounts. If that's the case, then you'd want to contact whatever account they got access to. If it was your bank account, your social media, right, your credit cards, you'd want to contact those institutions and have them help you to regain control of those accounts. Probably not a bad idea to contact friends and family, let them know that, hey, I've been hacked. If somebody asks you for more information about me or to send money, don't do it. And then if you can, on those accounts that have been potentially compromised, maybe you can add two-factor authentication if it's not too late. And if you can, then that could also prevent the hacker from going any further because now they need to use that second factor. And if that's your phone or your email address and they don't have that, then you can protect yourself. So I hope this has been helpful. Definitely go back through these steps. Make sure you're using as many of them as possible. And this will give you the best chance to protect your money, to protect your credit and your identity from becoming a victim of cyber crimes or identity theft. If you haven't gone to retirewithryan.com, just one final reminder, please go to retirewithryan.com and fill out the 2022 listener survey. Thanks for tuning in this week, and I look forward to talking to you next Wednesday. Take care.
You should consult a financial advisor familiar with your specific circumstances before you make any financial decisions. Nothing in this broadcast constitutes a solicitation for the sale or purchase of any securities. Any mention of rates of return are historical or hypothetical in nature and are not a guarantee of future returns. Ryan Morrissey, CFP, is an investment advisor representative of Morrissey Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor.